Hey, we're live. Appreciate everybody for being here tonight. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks to everybody that joined the new channel from my main channel. God bless you all for being here. Let's see, we already got some people in the chat. What's going on, Sean? I'm going to have to update the mods as we get a bigger audience here, make sure we have enough mods, but I'm sure we got enough for tonight. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure you give it a thumbs up on your way in. As always, if you're new, subscribe, hit the bell notification, all that good stuff. We're going to get started right away. I do have the chat pulled up, but I want to start with, believe it or not, you guys, we're going to start with our leftist friend, Sarah Silverman. She said something that just really resonated with me. Now she's a leftist. She's not a huge fan of you or your country, but she said something that I think we can probably all agree with. So without further ado, here is Sarah Silverman.
I mean, this may be a negative thought, or maybe a positive one. I don't know. But if people aren't getting along, like in relationship, they break up, So like, why don't we just finally just realize that these states aren't working and like divide up into like 2 or 3 countries of like USA 1 and USA 2. And they can be USA 1. Like the conservatives can be USA 1 because they love being number 1 and it means something to them. And I'd love to have that be theirs. They can be USA 1, we'll be USA 2, and we'll be allies. And
I don't know about that part, but sure. She's on to something there. Now, it wasn't that long ago that I floated this idea. It's not so much that I just want to see the country break apart, but how can we coexist? I've never in my life seen our country so divided. And they always find new ways to divide us too, don't they? Now it's the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. Black, white, left, right, Democrat, Republican, gay, straight. It's always some kind of divisive issue, wedge issue, driving people apart. Nobody ever really brings us together. The only thing that really brings us together, in my opinion, is success. When everybody's able to live their best life without government intervening and trying to control everything they do, that's when you see people perform their best. When you unleash the ingenuity and the creativity and the free market, all that good stuff. The left doesn't want that. They want to control you. They want all these restrictions and mandates and rules that I don't want to live under that rule. So I gotta admit, somebody on the left recognizing, maybe we just split into 2 countries. I mean, for what it's worth, that's better than destroy America. See, there's too many people that just have this scorched earth philosophy. Let's just burn it all down. Let's just destroy it all. Even my house, let's burn it all down. Some people actually want to do that. At least Sarah Silverman here, this leftist, she has a decency to say, hey, conservatives can have their own area and we can have our own area. Okay, great. That's wonderful. That is wonderful. How about we let all the southeastern states, Texas, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, all those states just form our own little union. Everybody do their own thing. No leftist policy anywhere. Freedom just reigns supreme, and then let all the states on the West Coast have their own little thing. And do we really need to explain? Do I need to explain what that would look like? Which states would prosper? You break up the union, let these states do what they want to do. I mean, how can we? I mean, even before you get into like the logistics and the weeds of how that would work out, just think about how much more peace we would have. We'd have more peace. You definitely wouldn't be having situations like this guy. I'm sure most people have seen this video now. It's got 2.2 million views. And this right here, this video, this guy, this personifies exactly why maybe we need a national divorce, a peaceful divorce, because I don't want to share a country. I don't want to be in the same shopping center, the same mall, the same proximity as someone who's going to treat people like this.
Immunity a threat, but
Really? You're vaccinated?
yes, I am.
Oh, you are? Because I already have natural immunity.
Yeah.
You're not going to follow me around in the store and point at me to people, so I will video you.
So we have a state regulation that.
And it's not law. You're an idiot.
No. Oh. So you're going to insult me now? So my wife is a.
Leave her alone.
My wife
God,
is
leave
a
her
specialist
alone.
in
Here.
infectious diseases.
Oh, is she?
What are you doing?
What a deranged psychopath.
So what? Leave her alone.
Who does
you got
this?
your mask on. You're safe. I'm sure you're vaccinated too.
He is. He has a badge that says it.
I do. So my wife is a doctor who specializes in infectious disease.
Mhm.
So, do you think that she just doesn't know what she's talking about?
It's her choice. It's her choice. Just leave her alone.
No, there's a store requirement and a
Look at-
state requirement.
He's pointing.
You can't harass her.
It's
What are you
all of
even
our
in here
job
for?
as a community to come together
You're not
and
even
make
shopping.
sure
You're
that
going
people are
around to
shamed.
harass people.
to make sure that people are
He,
shamed
he was
when they
following me.
put the
He
rest
won't
of
leave
us
me
at
alone.
risk.
Put the rest of us at risk. He's vaccinated.
I know, and he has a badge on. Stop following me.
You know why he's doing this, right?
I'm not doing that.
Because of the rhetoric coming out of the White
And
House and the
publicly
media.
shaming me?
The public venue. Yeah, you're making a bad decision. You're a bad American.
I am. I totally am. And I
Yes.
voted for Trump.
Yeah, you're a bad person.
Me too.
You're a bad person for
He's
doing
not
that.
a bad person because my mom was vaccinated and still ended up in the hospital with COVID. It's her choice.
Yeah, well, they're very, very unusual.
Okay, that's the gist of the video right there. Okay, off top, the only reason this guy is doing that, well, he's doing it for his own little self-serving reasons. But the reason why he feels so emboldened to go after this woman and harass her, knowing that she's recording him, is because he feels like he is vindicated. He feels like emboldened. He feels like he has the upper hand. He feels like this is his duty. Why? Because his ally in the White House, we already know who he voted for. His ally in the White House told him that it's your patriotic duty. All of the rhetoric coming towards the unvaccinated, because that's what we are now. We're just categorized as the unvaccinated. It's not fellow Americans. It's just the unvaccinated. It's a pandemic of the unvaccinated. Okay. All of the hostility and vitriol and the rhetoric towards the unvaccinated has emboldened people like this to go out in the and start shaming you in public, trying to snitch you, trying to snitch on you, trying to bully you because you won't comply with these psychotic mandates, these psychotic rules and restrictions that don't make any sense whatsoever. None of these rules and restrictions make sense. They talk about you don't follow the science, you don't trust the science. Oh, really? What's the science behind having to put a mask on as you enter Red Lobster, but as soon as you sit down, you can take it off? But then when you get up to go to the bathroom, you got to put it on. So adults, when they go into any kind of establishment, they have to wear the mask. And then when they sit down, they can take it off. And their servers have to wear it all day. Kids, when they go into a classroom, when they sit down at their desk, they have to leave it on all day, even though they're the least susceptible to it. I mean, there's just so much there that you can easily pick it apart and be like, this isn't scientific. But anyway, this guy and many other branch COVIDians feel like they have the moral high ground because that's what Fauci is telling them. That's what Biden's telling them. That's what they're hearing on Don Lemon and CNN and freaking Joy Reid talking about Team Pfizer. They've made it into a cult. It's so funny because they call Ron DeSantis, Greg Abbott, all of these right-wing conspiracy theorists that are promoting freedom and liberty and trust your own body. All of those people, we're called a death cult. That they're calling that a cult. Of course, it's projection always, constantly, but it's them. These are people doing this stuff. This is weird. Who on earth is going to watch this and be like, that's normal? I mean, that's his patriotic duty. I mean, he should be shaming that woman. Shame on her for making decisions that are best for her, right? So that's why you're seeing this. That's why you're seeing this vaccine supremacy. That's why he's wearing it like a badge of honor. Like, yes, I got this medical procedure. Look at my profile picture on Twitter, on Instagram. Look how moral I am. I am the shining beacon of morality. Anyone who has not taken this pandemic as seriously as me is less worthy of oxygen. They're a second-tier citizen. So therefore, I support government cram downs. I support discrimination. I support mandates. I support coercion against them. They shouldn't be allowed to work. They shouldn't be allowed to participate in society. Their kids should be forced to cover their faces for 8 hours a day. That's what this guy is. He embodies an entire movement of people. It's not just him. It's millions of people in the country. And that just further proves the point that Sarah Silverman just made. How can we go on like this? How can we continue down this path when at any given point in time, depending on what state you're in, you may have to show your health papers. If somebody tried to get me to show health papers right now, if I went to some random place, like if you blindfolded me and drove me somewhere, like, all right, we're going to this restaurant, Mike. If we get there and someone asks for my papers, I'm going to think that I left the state. I'm going to be like, am I in California? Am I in New York? Because there's no in hell that this is happening in Florida because our governor banned that. You cannot do that in the state of Florida. So depending on where you are in the country, you may have to deal with this. And it's just not right. So it's not even just that. You got this. Now, before I get too far into it, before I get too far on a tangent, like I tend to do, let me slow down a little bit. So you got that guy harassing a woman in Target for all of these reasons. Apparently, you can't see her, but I'm assuming she's not wearing a mask. And then the vaccine got brought up and it just got really weird. But he was clearly stalking her, harassing her, trying to shame her, trying to cram his views down her throat. It's like, that's a stranger. Under no circumstances is it even sort of normal to go approach a stranger, stalk them, harass them, bully, threaten, point a finger at them. Because why? Because they're not choosing to live in a miserable state of fear like you. You feel some moral obligation to go and police other people. And by the way, that whole strategy sucks. It has the extreme opposite effect because now I just showed it to a bunch of people. 2.2 million people are turned off by what they just saw. It's repulsive. It's embarrassing. This guy out there pressuring people, that's what makes people have even more hesitancy. Don't they understand this? Don't they realize this? Or do they just not care? Do they really think that by them being hyper aggressive, that's going to somehow make people say, okay, fine, I'll do it. I'll do exactly what you say. Now that I've seen the tops of the whites of your eyes and I see that you're clearly unhinged and crazy, I guess now I'll cave. No, people are going to dig their heels in even further. But here in New York City, and I hate the way that they titled this from the Post Millennial, a black family was kicked out by a white man in New York restaurant for failing to show proof of vaccine. See, this right here, I'm not a fan of this headline because as we're about to see in the video, it has nothing to do with race. It's more of, well, the left claims to love black people. Oh, Black Lives Matter, elevate black voices. We must, level the playing field. We need equity. All of the slogans and, everything that they push, which we know is BS, is more ironic in this situation, but it doesn't need to be called out in the headline because this black family was discriminated not because of their skin color, but because of their vaccination status.
So you're refusing to serve us? Are you refusing to serve us? So you're going to enforce segregation because we just told you that we're religiously exempt.
You told us you had your vaccination card.
I never told you any of that. I would never tell you that. I would never say that. I would never say that.
You have to leave.
You don't have to leave. If you have the flyer, you have the flyer that you're supposed to put into your window, right? Okay, go and read it. Go and read it, and you tell me we're not leaving. Well, I'm not leaving. You guys can leave. I'm not leaving.
Somehow race came into this, but I don't see this as a race thing.
We
kind of loud.
We just marched for this. Everybody in here is okay with that? Everybody's in here okay with setting segregation in society? Everybody's okay with that? Oh, we don't have our vaccine card, so now the kids can't eat. We can't eat. You guys are okay with that? This is the America you want to live in? Is this the America you want to live in?
Wow,
Well,
I
fuck
just got
you.
flipped
You
off.
see, you're not American. That's why you need to get the fuck out of here if you're not American. All right? Get the fuck out of here. Okay? This is America, and in America, everybody can eat. Everybody can eat in America. All right? This is not segregation.
They're telling us that we can't eat here, but yet they didn't have.
This is America. You need to wake up. This is the kind of country you want to live in? You want to live in this type of country? Wow. Everybody's okay with this?
And they didn't ask other people for their vaccination card. Good for you, but some people over here were not.
No, that's not the point. That's not the point.
Good,
That's not the
yes.
point.
That's not the point.
I told you that we're religiously exempt. If you read the poster that you posted on your thing from the city, it says you cannot discriminate. Okay? Read the poster. It says it on there.
You know, I don't know how else to put it other than that. How can our country go on like this? We have been so polarized. Think about how divided we were as a country before the year 2020, before the pandemic, before the George Floyd nationwide riots, before all of this vaccine mandate nonsense. And I saw someone in the comments there in the chat say, you don't care for the profanity. I'm sorry that there's been so much profanity lately in some of the videos. I mean, I'm only showing you these videos. I actually didn't know that there was profanity in this video. I didn't know that. But the point I'm getting to is I'm showing these videos for journalistic purposes. I'm not showing like, hey, look at this vulgarity. It's like, this is really raw stuff. I don't have the time and the capability to go in and like, well, let me edit this out and edit that out. Yes, the profanity, I understand a lot of people in my audience don't appreciate it. To be fair, I mean, Trump uses profanity too. So, I mean, I'm just saying. But with these videos, I mean, this is raw. This is what happens in the real world. You could be anywhere in public and somebody's going to use profanity. There's nobody that's going to come in and be like, beep, beep. No one's going to, bleep it out for you. So this is raw as it happens. I'm not really a big fan of the bleeping out the profanity anyway, because I want to hear exactly what they're saying. Sometimes it distorts what they're saying and you can't really make it out. But anyway, I don't know how else to drive home the point that we are so divided as a country now, and it's just getting worse to the point where the only potential solution that I see, whether it is practical or not, I think it's kind of practical to start trying to, if you're going to form a commission to study anything, screw study and reparations, study a way that we can break our country apart, because I don't see how we can move back from where we are now. I don't see how we can go back to the way things were. Some people literally don't. Some people are going to wear masks the rest of their life. Some people, COVID changed their existence. They're never going to live life the same again. Some people never stopped living the way that they did before COVID. That'll be me. I have not changed anything about the way I live my life. I don't make fear-based decisions. I don't let fear govern my life. I was not gifted a spirit of fear, so I'm not going to live there. I think it's based on deception. I think it comes from an evil, wicked place, deceivers. But some people are very vulnerable to the fear. They almost embrace it without them even knowing it. They embrace it. And that's such a low, negative, dense energy. I don't want to be around it. So, you got all these people here in this restaurant sitting down. Somebody actually flipped the guy off. I don't know if you could make that up. Somebody flipped him off as he was saying, we have a religious exemption. And they're being thrown out of this restaurant. Yes, he's got his kids with him. They're being thrown out of a restaurant for not having gotten a medical procedure. And what's funny about that is you have a lot of people who are pro-vaccine that think, or they'll say, well, we've always done mandatory vaccines. Why is everyone freaking out now? Oh, really? I don't recall a time ever in my life where you had to show medical papers to go to a hotel, to sign a lease on an apartment, to get a new car, to fly. So that's all new to me. They always try to use like, well, your kids have to have certain immunizations before they go to school. Yeah, that's true, but there's also a opt out. You can actually opt out. You have options there. There's no, well, if you want your kids to go to school, you have to get the shot. You have to do this. They've added all these little stipulations now, and who can deny that this thing has been completely politicized? So it's way different now than it ever was before. I mean, kids can opt out. That's how it's historically been. Look no further than Minneapolis, where I used to live. There's a ton of Somali kids in Minneapolis before the pandemic that didn't have any vaccines. When they came over from Somalia, they didn't get any vaccines, but they were still going to school. Whether you think that's right or wrong, that's the reality of what it was. So that's not even an accurate comparison when they try to make that argument. I've seen so many arguments about this whole vaccine and how it's okay that it's mandatory, how they're doing all these mental gymnastics to try to normalize discrimination. Well, it's okay that you discriminate because, I mean, they have to do this because we have to keep people safe. You have to do this to keep people safe. It doesn't make any sense, y'all. It doesn't make sense. They're trying to mandate something that both Pfizer and Moderna just came out and it's like, hey, it's actually, the efficacy is not what we thought. So, I mean, there's so many different videos of this right now. There's fights. I've seen fights. People, I think also in New York, this is where it's really happening at. New York, people are brawling at the entry of restaurants. I think it was a Texas family tried to go to a restaurant in New York. And I think maybe, I don't know, I think maybe the Texas family assaulted the hostess or whoever was telling them they couldn't come in without showing their papers. I mean, unfortunately, that's going to be the norm. That's going to be what we see more and more of as we are so divided, rigidly divided, opposite ends. Lines have been drawn in the sand. We're only going to see more of that going forward because people don't want to acquiesce to these norms because it's not normal. They're saying we could go back to normal. This is not normal. Some people think if you just get your shot and then show medical papers everywhere you go, we'll get back to normal. You can go to the store, you can go to the movie, you can go to the play. All you got to do is, pull down your mask so they can identify your face and then show them your medical card. And then you can do all the things you were doing before. And that's going back to normal for some people. I'm sorry. That's not it. That ain't it, man. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. I just don't see it happening. So you got the segregation. You got this story right here. Florida landlord says tenants must get coronavirus vaccine. You don't want to get vaccinated, you have to move. This is a legitimate story out of Florida. I think it's down in Miami, where a landlord is going to evict people if they don't get a medical procedure. You think that makes any shred of sense? People that already signed a lease, paid their deposit, probably lived there, depending on how long they'd been there. They could have been there for 4 or 5 years. Now, all of a sudden, because they don't get a medical procedure, how is this not illegal? I'm pretty sure that's illegal. There's no way you should be able to get away with that. No way. So he can expect some lawsuits. But this is where we are. People feel emboldened. They feel like they can go on the attack. Why? Because people like Joe Biden are saying that the reason why their life sucks, the reason why I got to screw up everyone's life is because the unvaccinated over there. They're the reason why you can't go back to normal. You did everything you were supposed to do, but the reason why I still got to make your life suck is because of them. He's basically sicking the vaccinated on the unvaccinated, saying those are the people. That's your problem. This sounds very Hitlerian to me. This sounds like history repeating itself. You need a boogeyman. And it's this, again, this started way before the pandemic. Maxine Waters, what did she say? If you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, a gasoline station, create a crowd, push back on them, tell them they're not welcome. From that very moment, you saw violence escalate. You've seen Trump supporters executed in Portland. You've seen people run off the road. You've seen families get divorced. And this was all pre-pandemic. So now you layer on this medical mandate. You see people getting kicked off of airplanes, 2-year-olds getting kicked off of airplanes. A toddler with asthma got kicked off of an airplane because the 2-year-old toddler with asthma wouldn't wear the mask properly. I've seen fights in airports, fights at restaurants, people shouting at each other, flipping each other off, people getting evicted. I think it was Rutgers or some university told a student they couldn't take online classes unless they got the shot. I mean, this is psychotic. People getting fired from jobs, of course. You got this family right here. Tell me how this headline makes any sense, okay? Fully vaccinated woman's family blames unvaccinated Americans for her death in scathing obituary. Quote, she was infected by others who chose not to be. The cost was her life. Explain to me how that makes any sense. So what they're saying really is the medical procedure she got didn't work. And somehow it's the fault of people who didn't get the medical procedure that apparently doesn't work either. And I would love to see the contact tracing on that. Can you trace it back to the very person and prove that they were unvaccinated? Because otherwise, this looks like propaganda to me. Just like the other propaganda headlines we saw, woman's dying wish as she lays on her deathbed, unvaccinated woman, lays on her deathbed, and her dying wish is that everyone in America get the jab. That's your dying wish on your deathbed? I'm not buying it. Sorry. Fake news, propaganda, trying to tug at the heartstrings of unvaccinated people to try to pressure them to get the shot. So we see that going on more and more and more. The media just dumps gasoline on this raging fire. And I'm tired of it. If I sound like I'm pissed off, it's because I am. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the people continuing to apply pressure, continuing to talk about it, the supremacy of it, the false sense of moral superiority. I'm so sanctimonious. I'm so moral. Look at me over here saving humanity. What are you doing over there, Mr. Selfish? Why don't you try to be a better person? What did the guy say? You're a terrible American. You're a bad human being. And apparently he's not. Apparently he thinks he's a great guy. He thinks the world of himself as he's in a Target looking like a straight up pedo creeper, pointing at a woman, shouting at her, a stranger he's never met before. And he thinks he's a good person as he's not very persuasive at all. You know, why can't they try to be more persuasive? It's just like when people who had Trump derangement syndrome, all they could do is yell at you, call you a MAGA tard and all of that. I'm like, is that supposed to make me agree with you? Or is that supposed to change my mind? You're not convincing me at all. They don't care. They just want to shout and scream, and they want to embolden a government to crush you, even if it crushes them in the process. That's how Trump derangement syndrome works. That's how this vaccine supremacy works too. They're like, even if it crushes me, I don't care because it crushes my enemy, the people who I don't like. So yeah, I'll cheer on censorship, even though censorship will soon come for me. Yeah, I'll cheer for government totalitarian takeover, even though I'll get crushed in the process too. Yeah, I'll vote for Joe Biden, even though I'll have to pay for the high gas prices. even though inflation is going to affect me, even though I have less money in my bank account, even though it all affects me, I don't care because we need to crush my neighbors. I don't like my neighbors. They voted for Trump. So who do I have to vote for to make their life miserable? That's what it really boils down to. I see we got the Salty Army in there. What up, y'all? Appreciate y'all for being in here. Give it a thumbs up on your way in. Thank you very much. Salty Army in here. There's so much reeing going on right now from people who are upset that Joe Rogan, why didn't he just die? They're so angry. Nicki Minaj, why isn't she towing the line? She must be so dumb. She doesn't think what I think. Just tired of it. Tired of it. So don't want to continue going in circles, man. I could easily make that. That's why I wanted to do it first, get it out of the way. We're already, 30 minutes in? Let's move to this Newsmax thing, all right? This is interesting, all right? So a Newsmax anchor, I don't know if anyone's seen this clip yet. It doesn't have that many views, honestly. It's only got I guess it does. It's got way more views now than when I saw it earlier. You got a clip here where this Newsmax anchor goes off the rails when a veteran basically, I don't know because he got cut off, but it seemed like he was about to blame Trump for Afghanistan. So let's watch the clip and then I'll tell you kind of what I think about it.
I can tell you this didn't happen under President Trump. And I know there's a lot of people on the left that want to try to blame President Trump. He wanted out of Afghanistan real bad. He was real frustrated not being able to get out, but he didn't pull out because he knew this would happen. In fact, we all did. I called it on this program. My 12-year-old son knew about it. And so I've got Americans there that are stuck. To me, that's a hostage situation. But Joe, I appreciate you working to get them out. I really do. Yeah. And I wish you all luck in the world.
With due respect,
thank you for
with due respect, Grant, I mean, like veterans, being one, right? And our friends are over there.
Right.
We followed this closely for multiple administrations. And we know the Trump's administration's efforts here were fairly weak, that they were trying to limit the number of people that would get out. And so there was coordination problems.
Joe, I'm gonna cut you. I'm already weak. I'm already low on time, Joe. Cut him off, please. Cut him off now. Cut him off now. You're not gonna blame this on President Trump on my show. That's not happening. Now, I appreciate the work that you're doing. God bless you for being a veteran. God bless you for trying to get Americans out. But don't come on this program and take the talking points of the left and blame President Trump. That's not helping anybody. The Biden administration screwed this up from the very start. You know it. I know it. The country knows it. And to call them not hostages, I don't know how you don't call them hostages. They're stuck in Afghanistan with a country overrun with terrorists that are willing to kill them all. I'm mad about that, man. I really am. All right. I'm going to slow it down because we've got a real hero coming up. That man's a real hero, too. He served.
See, I don't know. I mean, first of all, let me get this out of the way. It's not Trump's fault. Not at all. This is on Biden. This is 100% Biden. Now, this particular clip, and this is somebody trying to take this because they took a certain clip, you know how they'll take a clip and then use that clip to spin a narrative. And he made it seem like, well, this guy is just going off on this veteran who helped rescue people from Afghanistan. Personally, I think it would have been more effective if it were me. I'll just tell you what I would do. Because the guy was trying to articulate a point before he got cut off. I don't know what he was about to say after that. I don't know if he was about to say it was all Trump's fault or not. I'll never know because the interview was cut off. I would have wanted to hear him out, then roast him afterwards. And maybe actually do it in a more articulate way, maybe in a way that would actually get him to see. Because, I mean, if you were having him on your show in Newsmax of all places, it's not like back in the day, I guess, when you would see more liberals go on Fox News or whatever for sparring purposes more than trying to change someone's mind. It's more about entertainment. Remember that? Tucker would have on like the liberal Sherpa lady or whatever. Anyway, this Newsmax doesn't seem like that type of network to me. It seems like they're bringing on people that agree 90% of the time. It just seems like that guy they were probably getting along. They probably were on the same page, and then it just went off the rails. Like this guy, this reporter, and his name slips my mind. I mean, he was already boiling. Like he already had some problems. There was already something going on to where he freaks out. I just haven't seen that before on live news where it's like, cut him off. We got to get somebody on that actually says what I want him to say. That was just wild to see. I think it's kind of a bad look, honestly. And I know that's probably going to piss some people off. But sorry, that's what I think. I think it's a bad look. But, I mean, I don't know what that guy was going to say as far as he said he watched it unfold across multiple administrations. I mean, Trump was trying to pull out of Afghanistan. I mean, we experienced 4 years of peace with Trump in the White House. Like, that's a fact. Nobody can take that away from him, even though people who had Trump derangement syndrome were like, well, this Biden situation, as messy as it is, at least the orange man's not the one with the nuclear codes. Right? These people are psychotic, man. But I just think it's bad to cut somebody off. And, you've got people that'll be super duper like free speech, my free speech. But if they say something I don't like, then they should be cut off. I think everybody should be able to talk. Everybody should be able to talk. If he was about to sit there on Newsmax, that guest that he got cut off, if he was about to sit there and blame Trump for Afghanistan, he would be making a fool of himself. Let him make a fool of himself. Let him lose all the credibility. Give him all the rope he needs to hang himself. You don't even have to do the work. But the cut him off. That was kind of wild, man. That was wild. Anyway, let's get to the border. Thousands of migrants, mostly from Haiti, overwhelm border officials in Texas. Think about the timing of this, y'all. The timing of this is a little peculiar. Now, we know what has happened in Haiti over the last month or two. They had a massive earthquake, and this was a couple weeks after their president was assassinated. Now, we know Haiti is like the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. I mean, the people there are not in good shape. But the thing is, Haiti is all the way in the Caribbean. So how did they end up at the Texas southern border, Texas-Mexico border? How does that happen? The poorest people in the Western Hemisphere somehow got over there in mass, and it's just exploded over the past couple of days. I mean, I saw images a few days ago and people were like, oh, there's a crowd of immigrants before they even knew it was predominantly Haitian. I saw images and people talking about there's several hundred immigrants at the southern border. I'm like, yeah, okay, what else is new? Then next thing I know, it's like, okay, it's 2,500. And then they're like, now it's 10,500, and they're mostly from Haiti. And this is just a hunch, but this has George Soros written all over it. We know that George Soros is not a fan of this country. He has destabilized so many countries. This feels like yet another assault on the sovereignty of America. You remember all of those caravans that were funded. Remember the caravans before midterms? And then what happened after midterms? No more caravans. You didn't hear anything about them. This strategic timing doesn't make any sense to me because we don't have any elections coming up. There must be something else going on to where this is kind of a decoy narrative. Get everyone focused on this. And then there's another story. There's something else happening. But I mean, those caravans, I remember pretty vividly from 2017 going into 2018, those caravans coming from Honduras. That was a big thing. Big caravans. We found out the Pope was funding those caravans. People in the U.S. were funding those caravans. There was a lot of suspicious activity with those caravans. People who supposedly walked from Honduras and Guatemala and what's the other one? El Salvador. but they had on white Fila shoes, no dirt on them. I'm like, you got on fresh polo shirts. They don't look like they've been walking through the desert for weeks on end. And then you had a bunch of immigrants in what is like January or February. It was sometime after the election because they were taking photos of these immigrants and they all had crisp white t-shirts on that said, Biden, let us in. Now you tell me, where would a bunch of people who are supposedly fleeing persecution from another country, where are they all getting the exact same t-shirt with basically a political message on it? Biden, let us in. Really? I'm not buying it. Doesn't pass the smell test. Now, as it relates to this Haitian situation, I mean, of course, Democrats here in the country, they use the welfare system, the welfare state as a magnet to bring up residual voting blocks from other countries because they want to replace you and me. Anybody that's a hardworking, freedom-loving American citizen, they know aren't going to vote for them. But if they can bring someone up here, set them up nicely, give them some food stamps, give them a better life. It doesn't take much to give a Haitian immigrant a better life than what they left behind. It's not, you don't have to furnish them too much. I'm just saying, that's the truth. You give them a little something, give them, a little something to get by, but never enough to make a difference. Never enough for them to get on their feet and actually start being independent, because then it's not expedient for the party that brought you over here. So this reeks of Soros funding however they got across the Caribbean Ocean. I'm curious how you got across the Caribbean without somebody flying you over. It's not a Cuba to Florida Keys situation. It's not like 90 miles, hundreds of miles, several hundreds of miles between Haiti and the southernmost tip of Mexico where they had to get in. Okay. So I just feels like this is them replacing. This is replacement. That's what it is. They love to say that's a white supremacist trope. No, it's not. They're trying to replace everybody here. They're trying to build a permanent serf class for wealthy people who go to the Met Gala, who go party in the Hamptons, who go party on Martha's Vineyard with the Obamas, the elite. They need people who will not meet them with any opposition. People that they know will vote for them. So that's why you got Haitian refugees here. That's why you got Afghani refugees being resettled here on your dime. And you just know that none of these people are going to be forced to take a medical procedure. If nothing else, it's because that would be racist, right? I mean, just playing by their rules. But, they're not going to have to take the vaccine once they enter our country because, that might turn them off. That might make them start looking around. And it's also very, very interesting how Cuba, which is a country that has been very unstable, recently they had a lot of protests. I didn't hear any calls of let them in, let them come in. There's a reason they don't want Cubans here. And we know what that reason is. They do not want Cuban refugees coming to the United States. But they certainly want Afghan refugees. They want people from Central and South America to come up. They want Puerto Rico to become a state because it helps them. It helps expand their power to the point where they have permanent power. They want Texas to turn blue. Now that California is a lost cause, California is never coming back. Sorry. Texas is extremely vulnerable. I'm actually surprised we didn't see this size of a caravan or people showing up at the southern border. I'm surprised we didn't see that before the 2020 election. To make it a situation where it's like, well, they got this crisis. It's basically a refugee crisis. You got to let them in. That's a great political talking point. I'm surprised it's happening now. I guess we'll have to wait and see how it unfolds. But yeah, 9,000 immigrants, mostly from Haiti, were waiting to be processed under the Del Rio International Bridge. I just think this is, got to pay close attention to this. I want to see where this goes. I want to see where it goes, guys. Someone said in the chat, because Cubans are mostly conservative. Ding, ding, ding. You win. Moving on. In reversal, Pentagon now says drone strike killed 10 Afghan civilians. So you mean they lied to us? Huh. I wonder why the Pentagon would lie to us. Why would government lie to us? And then come out and tell the truth once, because most of us knew this already. I'm pretty sure I reported on this right after it happened. But now they want to admit it. Why are they so late? Maybe because people who actually are committed to telling the truth told the truth right away. And then the truth got around to the point where like, okay, yes, it happened. So they, a drone strike killed 10 civilians, including 7 children. 7 kids in Afghanistan blown up to take some of the heat off of Joe Biden. No terrorists were harmed in this drone strike, just children, 7 innocent children, a family of 10 murdered. But there's no outrage. You don't hear anyone talking about it. That's not going to be reported on MSNBC. Snopes won't be fact-checking this. Whoopi Goldberg won't be talking about it on The View because they don't give a damn. They don't care. None of them are going to talk about this. None of the late-night talk show hosts. Trevor Noah has got nothing to say about this. Where is the outrage for 10 Afghan civilians just murdered in cold blood for no apparent reason because the Pentagon sucks that bad? Maybe they did it on purpose. Right? And if they ever get questioned about it, if they ever have to take questions, maybe they'll have their Hillary Clinton moment. What difference does it make? Remember that? They don't care. Sad. Sad to see the headline. Finally they admit it. Now they say the drone strike did kill civilians, no terrorists. Will anybody resign? No. Will Biden even make an announcement about this? Will he acknowledge it? No. Mark Milley might say something about white rage, but he ain't going to say nothing about this. No. They don't fear consequences. Mark Milley's not getting fired. He might step down and then might go start giving talks to military recruits. He'll be brought on Ellen. He'll be a panelist on CNN. They have a tendency to fail upward. You notice that? You think Cuomo's done? No, Cuomo's not done. Just like Andrew Gillum's not done. Andrew Gillum's coming back out in the woodworks, trying to dip his toe back in the water. Because they offer you a path to redemption, no matter how bad what you did was. If you are of the right political affiliation, of course. You can get away with anything. They will bring... CNN brought back the Zoom call masturbator to go on air. You couldn't find anybody else to be an anti-Trump mouthpiece. You had to specifically bring back the Zoom call masturbator. So yeah, I'd like to think that nobody's going to face any consequences for droning children in Afghanistan because their lives didn't matter. They weren't expedient. They don't help Joe Biden get more powerful. They don't help Democrats campaign. Nobody can fundraise on it. Celebrities can't virtue signal off of this. There's nothing in it for them. So screw those 10 people. That's the way it works, right? That's why you're not going to hear anybody talk about it except for people like me. Calling them out, exposing them for their hypocrisy and their disregard for humanity. They're over there telling you because you won't get a medical procedure, you don't care about humanity. When they just killed 10 people in Afghanistan, innocent civilians. people piled up at the southern border and they're telling you you're not taking this public health emergency seriously. Oh, really? Why don't you explain to me how measles is breaking out in Virginia and Wisconsin because the Afghan refugees you're resettling here? Don't even get me started on that. I could continue going on that. And now this story, I'm sorry to have to do this to y'all. I'm sorry. The only reason I'm doing it is because I know it. And because somebody shared this story with me, I got to share it with you. It's not political at all. It's just really disgusting. Woman eating fast food hamburger bites into rotting human finger. Yeah, barf. You know, if you just do enough mental gymnastics, you can see this as a positive story because, you know, you maybe shouldn't be eating so much fast food. Maybe you'll think twice before you get a burger. I don't know how this isn't national news. I think this happened at Wendy's back in the day. I don't know. Where someone found a human finger in a bowl of chili or something. I was a kid maybe when that happened. But anyway, a Bolivian woman will likely never look at finger food the same after she allegedly bit into a burger and ended up chomping on a decomposing human finger. A video of the revolting find is currently blowing up online. Okay, so this is okay, good. This isn't in the United States. I was going to say, if this happened in the United States, oh gosh, there's a photo of it. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. There's a photo of it. Ooh. That is so bad. How is there not a criminal investigation of this? Oh my gosh. Again, I'm only sharing this because somebody shared it with me. I'm just passing it on. I had to see it, so do you. And now here's the most disturbing part about this. After this came out, they just kept serving food like it was nothing. They just kept on going on and just, yeah. So long story short, I think you should probably cook at home. Cook at home. Now, moving on to the COOF news. Surge in demand for monoclonal antibodies to treat COVID-19 prompts Biden administration to impose new limits. Let's do a little digging here, shall we? 7 states, Alabama, Florida, Texas, Mississippi, Tennessee, Georgia, and Louisiana, made up 70% of orders for monoclonal antibodies. So alternative treatments. And now Biden wants to restrict the amount of monoclonal antibodies going to those states because he thinks it's not fair to the other states, even though he never uttered a word about monoclonal antibodies until about a week ago. So now all of a sudden he cares about it. Mr. Vaccine Salesman himself is now concerned about monoclonal antibodies. And so they want to restrict the number of people in Florida getting. I mean, this is life-saving stuff. This is keeping people out of the hospital. It's proven to be effective. That's why they're doing it. And so now you want to limit the states that are getting it. When the other states, why weren't they using it the way that these states were? What is it specific about these 7 states where they're like, we're going to use the monoclonal antibody treatment? Is it that they're trying to, is this a political move? Or are other states realizing, man, these vaccines just aren't working out the way we thought they were. We got to find another way to help our people out. Maybe it's that. But I would like to think that most of these other states, they're sanctimonious. They're better than my state, Florida. We're a bunch of backwards bigots down here. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know science because we didn't trust in the big pharma products, the ones that were being pushed like the other states. Maybe they finally realized, hey, we need to maybe have some variety in products. It's funny how they say, we're going to do everything to stop this pandemic, but the only option we're going to put on the table is you got to get the jab and wear a mask. Perpetual jabs, right? Because now they're trying to push for the booster shots, which the FDA just said, yeah, pump the brakes on that. But before that, it was all about booster shot, booster shot. So I just find it kind of interesting now that because there's a surge in demand, apparently, you can't just be talking about these 7 states, southern red states. There's no surge in demand there. There must be an artificial surge in demand, or blue states actually want a piece of the pie. They actually want to get some too. Otherwise, Biden's just playing politics. But he'll probably say red states are playing politics. You know, he said he's going to get those governors out of his way. Anyway, this feels to me like retaliation for all the governors and attorney generals that said that they were going to take him to court over his unconstitutional anti-human freedom mandate. That's what it seems like to me. This just seems like a chess move. But of course, propaganda CBS News are going to make it seem like, yeah, it's just because there's a shortage of supply. So we got to make sure that the blue states who don't want it anyway, because they're all pro big pharma vaccine, got to make sure these other states have it too. Yeah, right. They're trying to make Florida, because they see it's working. They want to make it look bad. That's my take. They want to make Florida look worse. It's a political attack against our governor, and he's going to do everything in his power to fight back against this. But I just find that very interesting that now all of a sudden, after his mandate, his vaccine mandate looks like it's about to get flushed down the drain. I don't think it's going to work out so well. Now, let's attack the red states any way we can. And he said he's going to, quote, get them out of his way, get these governors out of his way. The rhetoric, man. Anyway, I think I've covered everything that I had planned to talk about. So, well, I got one other tab open. No, I don't have anything else. I think I've covered enough for the week. I mean, you guys know I normally don't do live streams this late. So, I'm surprised I'm not already slurring my speech. I'm pretty tired. I usually do my streams earlier in the day, but what I think I'm going to try to do going forward is try to do an evening stream, because I think I can garner a bigger audience anyway. And I think Friday is probably the best day of the week to do it. So I might do this going forward. But I do appreciate everybody for being here today. We got 50 some people watching for a channel this small. 52 people watching on my main channel. I could usually get about 150 to 200 people watching. And that channel is way bigger than this one. So I think 52 watching on a small channel like this is impressive. And these numbers are only going to go up by the week. So make sure everybody that's watching right now has given it a thumbs up. Please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for the mods for being here. I see looks like I just got one moderator in here. I got to change some stuff. Sean, I see you in there. Sean, I'll get you on as a mod soon. I'll figure it out. I'll get you on there. I'll get some other people on. I'll try to get the same mods I had on my other channel. But yeah, I think I've covered everything, guys. I just want to go into the weekend, relax, go get some beach time. That's therapeutic and cleansing. Just, breathe in. A lot of what's going on is just so heavy and depressing, and it can really weigh you down, bog you down, weaken your immune system. Don't need to do that. I hope you guys do the same. I hope you enjoy your weekend. Remember, in the end, God wins. God is not surprised by any of this. Whether you believe in God or not, you probably believe in right, wrong, good, or evil. There's a battle going on right now. So, yeah, just want to leave you with some optimism there, as it seems like the world is falling apart. It kind of is. There's a backlash. There's a very strong resistance movement. People are banding together. People from all walks of life are banding together. You're seeing a lot of people think about this. It doesn't matter what you think about Nicki Minaj as a person. She's got almost 200 million followers, and she's dropping major truth bombs. Let's see if she can continue down this path. Let's see what happens. But that's a lot of people who just saw how fake the news is, how propagandist the news is, how quickly they will move to dismiss you. I mean, it was swift to try to dismiss, discredit, and destroy you if you don't say the right thing, if you don't toe the line. So a lot of people have been awakened to this agenda, and they're only scratching the surface. That's only the very tip of the iceberg. True Helper says, thank you, Mike Nificent. We truly enjoy your streams. Thank you. I couldn't do it without y'all. You know, this isn't my channel. This is y'all's channel. Like, we're all kind of going through this together. You know, it's like, here I am talking to a camera, but it's like people are watching, people are listening, people from all over the world have watched me, have reached out. I just think that, you know, God doesn't make mistakes. I'm right where I'm supposed to be for the time that I'm supposed to be in this place, you know. The Lord is protecting us. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yeah, guys, that's about it. We're at an hour, so I'm wrapping it up, but I will be back on Monday. Again, for the time being, I'll say this and then I'll wrap up. For the time being, my live streams are going to be on this channel. There will still be content on the main channel, but for the next month or so, at least until October 10th, when that first strike falls off, I'm walking on eggshells. I got to tread real lightly. I got to be very choosy on what I put on that channel. After next month, I'll have a little bit more flexibility. And then by the end of the year, hopefully I can get back to, because that's where I make all my money at, on that channel. You notice there's no super chat button on this one. But, you know, I gotta safeguard my revenue stream over there, as anybody else would do. Trust me, I would love nothing more than to get everybody to go follow me on Rumble and make just as much money and have Rumble work the same way YouTube does, but that's not the reality. So it is what it is. This is a necessary evil. I'm going to remain here. It's kind of a love-hate thing with YouTube. This is my favorite app, my favorite platform. So much information on here. And I just, you know, I'm going to stay on here and just know that as long as you have the notification set for both of my channels, you'll be good. You'll know exactly what's going on. You won't miss a stream. Just hit the bell and click all so you don't miss anything. I'll be back next week. It's possible if something crazy goes on over the weekend. No, scratch that. I'll be back next week. I got to take a couple days off to charge my batteries. But next week, I'll be back midday, probably noon Eastern, on this channel. So God bless you guys. Thank you so much for your support. Couldn't do it without you. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy your weekend. I'll catch you in the next stream.